everybody. Welcome back to Simonis Reads. Right now I decided we were going to do a little bit different. I was just going to do a small, shorter, fun book and take a break from Charlotte's Web for a little bit. This is a book about a lady who has a collection. And I have a collection. My collection, of course, and you won't be surprised, is books. All shapes and sizes and about lots of different topics. I even have more books at home than I do in the classroom. And then in the wintertime, one of my collections always shows up, and it's my collection of snowmen. So in the comments below this video, I'd like for you to tell me something that you collect. And the book is called The Trouble with Tilly Trumble, and it's written by Lynn Manuel. And Tilly's going to look for, she has a collection of chairs, but she gets a surprise at the end with what she ends up collecting. The Trouble with Tilly Trumble. In a house at the end of Potato Pill Lane, there lived an old woman who loved chairs. Tilly Trumble never had more than a few pennies to rub together, but every week she put on her fancy hat and her sturdy shoes, and off she went to make rounds at the yard sale, flea markets, and swap meets, looking for old chairs that other folks were chucking out. She had brought home broken down old chairs that were on their last legs. Lumpy, flowered, plump old chairs that sagged and dipped, springs peeking through old chairs that wiggled and wobbled, and faded in the sun old chairs that puffed and groaned and wheezed. Down the lane, Tilly would come pulling an old chair behind her with all the neighbors rolling their eyes and shaking their heads as she went. "Now, Tilly Trumble," they would say, "why do you want another four-legged, scruffy old thing like that?" But Tilly never gave a fig what they had to say. Tilly thought she was very lucky to live in a house spilling over with chairs, all of them holding out their arms, inviting her to cozy up in their laps. But sometimes, when she was sitting in an old chair with tasseled cushions that didn't match, she'd stare at the empty spot by the fire, the only spot in the whole house that was bare. Tilly could never find just the right chair to fill that empty space. There were times when she thought a moth-eaten old chair with cinnamon-colored polka dots would do nicely, and other times she thought a scratched-up old rocking chair with a cracked back might be better. But no, it couldn't be just any old thing. It had to be a four-legged, scruffy old thing that was really something else. And then one day when Tilly came home from a chucking out sale, she found an unexpected visitor on her front porch, plumped down in one of her stuffing poking out old chairs. Tilly didn't like it not one bit. "I see you've made yourself quite comfortable," she said. And that plumped down scruffy old dog just gave his tail a little wag, as if to say he was quite comfy indeed, thank you very much. "Scoot," said Tilly, "and then scat." But that scruffy old dog did not scoot, and that scruffy old dog did not scat. So Tilly went into the house, and she gave the door a slam. But that night, just as Tilly was drifting off to sleep, she heard wind whistling in the eaves, and she found herself wondering if that dog was shivery. And the more she wondered about it, the more she tossed and turned, till finally she got out of bed and let that scruffy old dog come in out of the cold. "Just for tonight," she said, wagging a finger at him. The next morning, as soon as Tilly was up and about, that scruffy old dog went and fetched the newspaper out from behind the raspberry bushes. "You stop that right now," said Tilly. "Don't you try to butter me up." And without another word, she marched into the kitchen and made breakfast with too many sausages for herself. And when that dog had finished every last one of those sausages, Tilly opened the door and flapped her arms up and down. "Now shoo," she said. "You cannot stay here. I do not want a pet." But as Tilly stood there flapping, the scruffy old dog sat down and put out his paw to shake hands. "How funny you are," said Tilly. She gave a matter some thought and decided that perhaps he could stay until supper time. Then, of course, he'd have to be on his way. But when supper time came, that creaky old kitchen chair, the one with the oopsie-daisy stains all over it, held out its arms and invited that dog to sit in its lap. And when he did, Tilly had no choice but to add a little more meat into her supper stew. After supper, Tilly put on her fancy hat and her sturdy shoes, and off she went to tack up posters around the neighborhood, asking the owner of a scruffy old dog to come and fetch him lickety-split. That dog, of course, went right along with her. Look, he's helping with the hammer. Now that's something, said one of the neighbors. That's something else, said another neighbor. The weeks went by, and nobody came to fetch that scruffy old dog. And in time, Tilly got used to his company. Sometimes they made rounds in the flea markets, yard sales, and swap meets together, looking for just the right chair for that spot by the fire. Sometimes they sat outside in old porch chairs, and Tilly showed the dog her scrapbook filled with tufts of stuffing and bits of fabric from old chairs that used to be and weren't there anymore. Sometimes they just sat and watched the stars come out. Every now and then, Tilly would look at that scruffy old dog and say, "I shan't give you a name, no point to it. You know, it's just a matter of time before I send you on your way." And then one Sunday, that dog went out to fetch the paper, and he was gone before Tilly could stop him. That was a shame because the paper wasn't delivered on Sundays. All morning, Tilly waited for him to come back. First, she waited by the front door in the old wing chair, the one with the buttons hanging down from loops. And then she sat on the porch in the threadbare satiny old chair with the zigzaggedy splits in it and waited some more. And then, for the longest time, she waited by the front gate in a propped-up old wooden chair with a missing leg. Finally, she put on her fancy hat and her sturdy shoes, and she set off to find that scruffy old dog. She walked up one street and down another. She looked this way and that. And when she passed a yard sale, a lady wearing jangle earrings called out, "Would you be interested in a moth-eaten old chair with cinnamon-colored polka dots?" "No thanks," said Tilly. "I'm looking for something else." At the flea market on the corner, a man with a cane said, "I can give you a good deal on a scratched-up old rocking chair with a cracked back." "No thanks," said Tilly. "I'm looking for something else." But that scruffy old dog was nowhere to be seen. And when it got very late, Tilly turned around and started home. "I don't mind," she told herself. "That scruffy old dog had long overstayed his welcome, and now I shall have plenty of stew left over for tomorrow's lunch." When Tilly opened the front gate, she stopped and blinked in surprise. There by the door was that scruffy old dog, and beside him was a newspaper, a long-forgotten newspaper tossed under somebody's shrubs ages ago. Tilly knew that scruffy old dog must have searched all day to find it. As he put out his paw to shake hands, Tilly held out her arms instead, and when he jumped into her lap, she hugged him and hugged him and hugged him. "You really are something else," she said, "and something else is just what I shall call you." She realized right then and there that she'd found just the right four-legged, scruffy old thing to fill that empty spot by the fire. And now in a house at the end of Potato Peel Lane, there lives an old woman who loves chairs almost as much as she loves something else. And that's the story of Tilly Trumble, and I hope you can share with me some of your collections in the comments below. So I'll see you next time. Keep reading.